I was waiting. I didn't know the protocol for this, or I was thinking of the word like the diagram. How you guys laid it out, because it almost looked like you guys knew exactly where you were going. And it's Friday, so I wouldn't be here to be able to know it, but I figured I'd wait till the end before I come up here to preach and stick my flowers in for me and my wife. I have to tell you guys about the pressures of preaching Easter Sundays, right? I got a text message this morning from a few people saying, "You ready for the Super Bowl?" And at first I didn't get it. Like, Super Bowl? They're like, "Yeah, well, it's Easter." I went, "Oh, yeah, right, today's the big day." In Christianity, this is the all, right here, right? Not Christmas, here. The day Christ rose is everything to us. Because of the significance of it, right? And this is the day, probably other than Mother's Day, that you get the most people in churches. And everybody brings people with the hope that the pastor's going to say something that's going to hook them. I ain't going to hook them. God can, but I can't. And so part of me just kind of wants to share that with you to kind of release that pressure that I feel, because I've felt it for years. Like, I got to say something that's going to keep these people here. But I don't. I can't. It's not my job. It's His. And if you look in Scripture, the even crazier part is when big crowds would gather, Jesus would say things that were off the wall and they'd walk away. He'd be like, "I don't need to explain myself. I don't need to, oh, it's okay if you don't understand." No, Jesus, like, if you're going to hear, you're going to hear, and if you're not, you're not. Even Jesus didn't feel the pressure. And so, welcome to the Super Bowl. We're on NBC. There will be commercials showing that you're going to like, especially the Dorito ones. Okay? Let's pray. Father, we come right now. We thank you for the wonderful feeling of being able to worship you freely, the wonderful feeling of being in your house, the wonderful feeling of knowing your love and your mercy, and having it poured out upon us even when we don't deserve it. Father, I pray that it is your words that are spoken to your children at this moment. I pray that it is you who guides me at this time. I pray that you open our hearts for you. I pray you close us to whatever is not of you. I pray that you're exalted and honored to the fullest, because that's where you deserve to be. I pray that you are God. And thank you every day for it. Please let it be your words and not mine. We pray this all in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. Today's text is going to come out of Mark. And, all week I had spent preparing a different lesson for you guys today. Of course. I'm not connected. All week I've been working on a different text, and we had a death at our school. Just recently, a young man was in surgery and died from a complication during surgery. And we had a service for him at the school. And I was just watching all the kids gather. And this was the nicest kid ever, right? His name was Jay Shine. Just think about a kid named Jay Shine. I remember when I first met him, he walks up, and he's like, "Hey, coach, how are you doing today?" I'm like, "Hey, what's your name? Welcome out to the field." He's like, "My name's Jay Shine." I'm like, "Okay, well, what's your real name?" He goes, "Jay Shine." I go, "What did your mom and dad name you?" He goes, "Jay Shine." I go, "Your parents named you Jay Shine?" He's like, "Yeah, coach." I go, "These are parents I need to meet." But he carried that name so well. He always had the best, he always had a $50 hat on. He was out on the field. I coached baseball at West Ranch. He'd be out there. He was absolutely horrendous on the field. Like a liability kind of horrendous. But he was always had a smile. And so as I was sitting here watching these kids worship, but at a funeral service, my heart began to hurt for them. Because I don't know how many of you guys think our days are guaranteed. But watching this kid pass let me know that they're not. They're numbered, and unfortunately we don't know the number. And so as I kind of focused on that a little bit, God began to change the direction I went with this message today. And so, coming out of the book of Mark, chapter 16, I want us to look at the first 8 verses. And it says, when the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, Salome brought spices so that they might go to anoint Jesus' body. Very early on the first day of the week, just after sunrise, they were on their way to the tomb. And they asked each other, who will roll away the stone from the entrance of the tomb? But when they looked up, they saw that the stone, which was very large, had been rolled away. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe, sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed. Don't be alarmed, he said. If you're looking for Jesus the Nazarene, who was crucified, he is risen. He is not here. See the place where they laid him? But go, tell his disciples and Peter, he is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him, just as he told you. Trembling and bewildered, the women went out and fled from the tomb. They said nothing to anyone because they were afraid. And now I want to ask some questions. But I really want you to think about them, because some of them seem very easy to say yes to. But you guys know how I get down. Nothing's ever easy here with me. Because I'm going to ask more questions to expound on that question you just got an answer. So the first question is, how many of us believe in the resurrection of Jesus? And I guess it just depends on how you understand that word believe. But how many of us would say, I believe in the resurrection of Jesus? So what does it mean to believe in the resurrection of Christ? Like, what does it mean? I'm not talking about our head, I'm talking about heart. What does it mean when you say, I believe? I believe in anything. I believe. How does the resurrection affect our daily life? Or is it just Easter Sunday? Do the decisions that we make daily become affected because you believe in the resurrection? All right, now we're getting a little more intense, because now you've got to think, well, how do I live then? Do my actions say, I believe? Or do we just think about it today? If it doesn't affect our daily life, can we say we believe? Or can we even say we know what it means? The resurrection. What does it mean? Would it make a difference if I didn't preach the resurrection today to you? If it would, why would it? Is it because today's Easter and that's what you hear about? That's what we're told you should preach on, is this? At Open Door this morning, when I asked that question, I had a few ladies who are new to the faith start shaking their head like, yes, this is what you're supposed to preach on today. It's what we've been told. Anything else, we wouldn't know what to do. But they're new. If we believe that we will be raised, 12. Do you believe that Jesus was raised from the dead? And does that in turn mean that we will also be raised? Again, a quick theology lesson here. Do I believe that Jesus was raised because now that means I'm going to be raised as well? And if we believe that we will be raised, why do we live in fear of death? There it goes, right there. Constant death. Why do we live in fear of death? Or why is living sacrificially scary? When I ask these questions to church people, they always want to go to the quote from Paul that, it'd be good for me to leave, but I need to be here. And they'd say, well, it'd be good for me to go be with Jesus, but my kids are going to need me, or my grandkids are going to need me. Really? They need you. But if I'm okay with death, if I'm okay with resurrection, would I not be excited that I get to be with Jesus? Is anything that I can experience here on this earth better than what I may experience with Christ? The one who gives me everything, the one that is the author, the creator of the world, like who gives me breath. What about this? If we are afraid of sacrifice, if we are afraid of death, is it because we feel like we haven't been good enough? Deep down inside. Like I have to do a little bit more to just ensure that I'm going to get it. Because what I did the other day, that's 2 strikes against me. If that's the case, I have to ask the question, do we understand the cross? Right now it looks beautiful, but normally it's an instrument of death. That's what Jesus went on and died for us. Nails put in his hand. We just saw that during the children's lesson, right? I think they look more like railroad ties, right? They're like humongous nails. Like they're not the little cute nails that we hammer into things. Like these are massive, painful looking nails. Do we understand the cross then? And what he did on it? Do we understand what his death meant? We just celebrated it Friday. We know. I mean, when I say know, I'm not talking about in our head. Yeah, I can know a lot of things, but I know in my heart what it meant. It's crazy how many people I come in contact with that ask the question all the time, like, how could God love somebody like me? Doesn't he know who I am or what I've done? Doesn't he know where I've been? What do you mean, how could God love someone like you? You grow up in the church all your life, I know, but still, like, I'm not what you think. And then they want to question if God could love them. And even further, do we understand the gospel? I'll be the first one to tell you the gospel is not selling people on the American dream. That's the first thing we want to do, right? Kids not behaving, come to Jesus. Can't pay your bills, come to Jesus. Can't find a job, come to Jesus. We want to sell people on the idea, you come to Jesus, you're going to have 2.5 kids, a white picket fence, a little dog that doesn't poop in the house, and a $100,000 a year job. Like, that's how we sell Jesus sometimes. Is that what happens? Smart kid. That's a future preacher right there. I mean, the Jesus I read about says, when you come to me, expect to be suffering and persecuted. Expect to be hated. But we want to sell Jesus as if he's like an insurance plan. And I'm trying to figure out why. And then my final question is, then what is the gospel? What is the gospel? If that's how we sell it, what is it? Paul tells us the gospel is that Jesus died, he was buried, and he raised again. I mean, you hear that, like, that ain't good news. What's good about that? Like, it has nothing to do with me. Right? Nothing. Where am I in there? How is that good? But what are all those different components meaning? That he died. What did he die for? Who did he die for? So in this text, there were two words that I've never seen before. And I've preached this text many times. I just took Open Door through the book, the Gospel of Mark, preached this text a couple of times. And two words popped off the page, and I had never seen them before. And it says, and Peter. And Peter. The disciples and Peter. Well, why does that make a difference? Who's Peter? I like to tell people he's the biggest screw-up of all the disciples. I love talking about Peter. And when you guys know, when we've been walking through those first few chapters of the book of Acts together, who do I keep talking about? Peter, right? Because Peter's always the one putting them out there. Right? He's always the one putting himself out on Front Street. Right? He doesn't know how to stay quiet. He doesn't know how to mind his business. He doesn't know how to do anything outside of talk. They're on the boat, out in the ocean, or out in the sea. Jesus starts walking on the water, right? He's like, Lord, call me out to you. He's like, okay, come on. Peter gets out, right? Starts walking out in the water. Realizes he's way far from the boat. What does he do? He panics. Oh my goodness, look, I'm going to drown. And what does he do? He starts to sink. Jesus runs over, he picks him up by the hand, he carries him back. You have little faith. Right? They're up there on the mountain. In the Gospel of Luke, and Jesus is up there with him and two other disciples, and this cloud comes around them, and Moses and Elijah show up, and Jesus begins to glow. First thing out of Peter's mouth, I'll build you guys all tents. Well, why does that matter? Because now he's just put Jesus on the same level as Moses and Elijah when Jesus is the Son of God, which the voice of God just spoke and said, this is my Son. When would Jesus ever be on the same level as Moses and Elijah? He's greater than. Why would you lower him to their level and treat them the same way? Opening his mouth again, doesn't know what he's talking about, but just wants to talk. And then right before Jesus gets taken. Best story of all, Peter, right? Jesus comes to the disciples. There's going to come a point where you guys are all going to turn against me. What does Peter do? Oh, no, Jesus, not me. What are you talking about? I got you. I got you. We're going to do this. Right? I was telling people in West Ranch, I said, man, this is our neighborhood. They show a little gun, be like, I got you, Jesus, we're good. We're good. A little gun right here, right? We're good. You're protected. Don't even trip. And then what does he do? Jesus gets taken. He walks down, there's a little fire burning. Jesus tells him before he leaves this, before the rooster crows 2 times, you're going to deny me 3 times. Oh, Jesus, you tripping. I got you. These other fools, they may run. I got you. Okay. So Jesus gets taken into captivity. Now, I will give him the fact that he did try to lop off an ear. Okay, give him that. Give him that. But when they get down the mountain to the fire, someone comes up, hey, aren't you one of Jesus's? Jesus's? No, who's that dude, right? A few minutes later, he's sitting there trying to get warm. Still, hey, you are one of Jesus's. Come on, dude, I told you, I don't know that guy. A few minutes later, someone else comes up. You are one of Jesus's. I've told you guys, I don't know him. And then the rooster crows. Well, the gospel says at that moment, his and Jesus' eyes locked. My heart's beating hard right now thinking about that. Imagine the shame right there. Imagine the feeling that you feel knowing that your Lord just heard you deny him 3 times. The prediction he made about you was correct. And you folded under pressure. Forget the Lord. Think about your family. Think about your friends. Think about the people most important to you. And you do something that they walk up to you and say, you've broken our heart. You've let us down. We're disappointed. We struggled. The shame that comes over you. And it says Peter took off by himself. Well, I thought today's about Jesus. It is. I'll get there. Don't worry. Here's what I always tell people about Peter. He excluded himself. And so when this rock gets rolled away and they're in there looking for Jesus, and the angel who's sitting on it says, go get the disciples and Peter, there's a special mission that they have to go to find him. And this is why I asked the question, how many of us believe in the resurrection? Because it doesn't matter to me right now where you are in life. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't. And realistically, when I get through with this, you'll understand it doesn't matter to God either. Because where you are is where you are. Peter's experiencing the ultimate shame right now. He's experiencing the ultimate pain right now. He wants nothing to do with this. He's telling himself, how could God love someone like me after what I just did? Probably the same thing some of us say when we look in the mirror after we get done doing some things that we're not very proud of. That we may try to justify and rationalize why we did it, why it was okay to do it. We sit there and go, how could God love someone like me? And Peter's doing the same thing. He sends the women who come to the tomb and he says, don't get Peter. Imagine someone coming to you, family, friends, loved ones. Hey, Jesus wants to see you still. No, he doesn't. Yes, he does. We were specifically sent for you. We were sent for you by name. Come. Jesus wants to see you. Well, I just saw Jesus die. What do you mean Jesus wants to see me? Jesus is not dead. What are you talking about? He's alive. But I watched him die. He's not dead. He's alive. And he wants us to go meet him in Galilee. Just like he told us. Jesus couldn't possibly want to see me. I don't know how many of you guys have ever been in that place. I remember when I was getting my life together. I was still using drugs now. I have a history of drugs and gangs and all this kind of crazy stuff. I'm one of those people who, on the street, you would not have invited me in here. And I remember I was in this place. I had experienced this situation in my life, and the priest of the church, I grew up Catholic, told me, you're not welcome here. Don't come back. I was like, ooh, okay, I guess I'm gonna run shop in hell now. Right? He just gave me reason to not do anything for God. Let me take over. I'm going to be 5-star general in hell. That was the thought process that I had, right? I'm going to do everything I can wrong now. And I remember I had a cousin who was making first communion. And I loved my cousin, right? This is one of my closest cousins. And she invited me to come to church. She's like, come to my communion. I'm like, Girl, they don't want me in there. She's like, no, seriously, come, please. I'm like, all right. And I remember, I walked up to the church. I'm standing there on the steps looking at the church building, right? It was one of those old Catholic churches in the Bay Area. I'm standing in front of it, and all I could feel is like hands pushing me away, like, stay out, right? This is what I'm feeling, like, stay out, like, don't come in. And I don't know if it's God or if it's the enemy trying to keep me out, right? But I want to say it's God because the way the priest dealt with me, he doesn't want me in there. You guys know I run around and trip over myself. He doesn't want me in there. But I go. I walk up, and they got the little holy water there, so I don't touch it because I don't feel holy enough to be able to touch it. And all I can do is stand against the wall, right? I'm standing right back there. Not feeling welcomed. In my mind. And then it's my cousin's turn, and she goes up, and I see her like start pointing. She's pointing at you. Real? And I remember I just slid in. Just began to cry. But asking the question, like, how would God love someone like me? Like, don't you know who I am and what I do? He's like, have a seat. I was like, oh. Right? I'm just like overwhelmed with feelings and emotions and can't explain where I was at that time, right? But I was just in this place of just feeling dirty. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been there. And I get through the church service and I don't even wait for it to finish. I run out, right? As soon as she's done, I'm out. I'm standing outside waiting for her. Smoking a cigarette. Probably smoked something else while I was out there. But I remember smoking a cigarette when she came out. And she said, thank you for coming. Do we believe in the resurrection? Do we believe that God came to conquer death and sin? Do we believe that it was defeated by Him? And if it was, why do I live in fear of the things He asked of me? The question that I was asked when I think about these things is, do I know His voice? Do I know the voice of God? Why do I ask that? Well, because there's things that are being asked to do. If you're like me, you got lots of voices in there telling you to do things. How do I know which one to listen to? So do I know the voice of God? Can I hear the quiet whisper saying, I love you? Can I hear the quiet whisper saying, I died for you? Can I hear the quiet whisper saying, I rose for you? To let you know that everything that you're experiencing right now is okay. Or am I listening to the loud voice saying, you're dumb, you're stupid, you're fat, you're ugly, you're the wrong color, right? You're incapable, you don't talk right, you're ghetto, right? You don't look like them, you don't talk like them, you're not from their area, right? Like all these loud voices telling me all these things, like God would never love somebody as decrepit as you. Because you're way louder than the voice saying, I love you. Because what gets louder are the things that I focus on. And when I look in the mirror and I see the ugliness of me, I can't hear the beauty and the goodness going on inside. I can't feel the arms of Christ coming around me to hold me and let me know that everything's going to be okay. I got you. The same way Peter was trying to tell Jesus, I got you. Do we believe? Why does it matter? Because people are watching. People are watching us. You guys hear me say all the time, we're terrible ambassadors of Christ. Terrible. Terrible representatives of Him. But if the resurrection matters and it means something to me, then every thought and every action that I take is going to be controlled or empowered by the resurrection, knowing that there's something greater than me that has conquered all the things that I experience on a daily basis, that tells me I'm not okay, moving through me to let me know it's good. Every thought and action begins to be controlled by the resurrection. It shouldn't matter if I preach that today, because it should be preached every day. It should be lived every day. It shouldn't just be because it's Easter, I'm worried about the resurrection. No, I should be worried about it because it's what gives me the ability to do what I do. Because if I'm hooked up to the power source, then what can stop me? I'm hooked up to the source. Nothing can keep me from going and doing the things that I need to do. And so when I get called to go to some of those scary places that create panic and fear in my heart, I have to ask myself, what am I moving in? Self or the resurrection? Is my God bigger than this situation? And if the worst happens and I have to leave earth, is what I am leaving worse than where I'm going, or better? I like to believe it's got to be better than where I'm at today. My wife and I talk about this all the time, and we've made the deal like, hey, when it's time to go see Jesus, it's time to go see Jesus. No fighting, no hooting and hollering, no crying, no, man, go. Go. Yes, my heart will hurt for you while you're not here. Yes, I will be in pain. Yes, I will cry. But you will be with Jesus. And isn't that the whole point of what we do? Why do we call ourselves Christian? To live for Him, to serve Him, to do kingdom work, not for the American dream, not to ensure my own comforts and my own security and my own wonderfulness, but to live in a way that shares the gospel with people by the way I live my life. I hope that's why we do this. It's why we sit in here, right? To be taught what does that look like. My worship partner, my worship leader, he's here every once in a while. His name's Heck. He's a thin guy now. I used to say he's a big guy, but now he's a thin guy. He's lost 60 pounds because he's fasting with me. He's got the big beard, right? You probably know he looks like a gnome now, right? Garden gnome. And he always says, why do we spend so much time focusing on the birth and the death and resurrection of Christ? He's like, it's like a few pages in the Bible. What about the rest of it? Where's that at? Where's the life of Jesus at? I go, well, it's supposed to be every Sunday preach. He goes, what is it? Or we preach how to live better lives ourselves, rather than how to live like Jesus, who was sacrificial in going on the cross for people who hated Him, who spit on Him, who lied about Him, who mistreated Him. And instead of going on the cross and saying, Father, save those that love me, He said, Father, forgive them. Forgive them, everyone else. For they do not know what they do. They do not know what they do. Forgive the ones that have no clue who I am and what I can do. I was like, oh, good point. So why does Ann Peter matter? Because it's the part of the story that I can relate with. Part of sometimes the sermons in churches is I can't relate to what the pastor's talking about, but when you give me a live character that's crazy like me and put all his brokenness on display so that I can see it, I can identify.
And to know that Jesus called him unto himself after the worst thing that he could possibly do, which was deny God, then maybe he could call me too. There's hope. There's hope. And that's what I want to live in. There's hope. That the ugly and the pain and the struggle that I see in the world doesn't necessarily have to be that way forever. That the beauty and the grace and the mercy that I experience, I can share with you because it's been so freely shared with me. If nobody's told you today, Christ loves you, and so do I.
Yeah.
He went on the cross and he died for us. He was buried, and he rose again. So that each and every single one of us, when the Father looks upon us, does not see decrepit, dirty, scumbag sinners. But what he sees is a cloak of white. He sees beauty. He sees his children. And he's in relationship with us. Let's pray. Father, we come and we thank you for who and what you are, the things you do, the ways that you work. And Father, there's so much about you that we don't get and understand sometimes. And so, Father, I pray that as we are experiencing some of these things, that you open our hearts and we look with your eyes and we work with your hands, we feel with your heart, and we hold with your arms you. And we see the way you understand the world and operate in that. And so, Father, we love you so much. And I know that we don't always live that way. And I know we walk in fear and we walk in weakness sometimes, Lord, and our flesh comes to the surface, but you give us forgiveness in that. And that's why I say, wherever you are, it's okay, because we know where to move, and that's just towards you. And so wherever your children are today, Lord, whether they're in this building or not, wherever they are, I pray that you ground them in you right now, that you give them a firm foundation to just start to trust a little bit and move one more step towards you. That they're not plagued by the sicknesses of their minds and the enemy in their head telling them they suck. But you tell them they're loved. So as we adjust the volume gauges, Lord, I pray that you help us to hear you more so that we can move with you, love you and know you even greater. We pray this all in the mighty name of Jesus.